Wait, before you scroll past this, listen. She was sitting in her car when she heard it. Engine off. Phone still warm in her hand. Some friend of hers, a mutual one, the kind who doesn't usually say much, leaned through the passenger window and said it plainly. He still talks about you. He always has. And she didn't speak. She didn't move. She just held the steering wheel with both hands like the car might tilt if she let go, and her chest started doing that thing it does right before tears, that tight, rising thing, and then she laughed. One small, broken laugh. Because she hadn't realized until that exact second how badly she had wanted to hear it. That happened tonight. Or last night. Somewhere in the last few hours, on her side of the world, while you were doing something ordinary on yours. And I know you felt the shift today. Something in you has been quieter than usual. Heavier in a soft way. Like someone is thinking about you and you can't prove it, but you can almost feel the weight of it pressing through the air. You not imagining that. This isn't a dramatic story. It's a real one. The kind that happens between two people who never stopped mattering to each other, even when they pretended otherwise. And if you been wondering whether the silence between you and them has actually meant anything, I want you to know, it has. It always has. They just couldn't say it out loud until tonight. So let me tell you what's been happening on their side. Slowly. The way it really unfolded. Because the moment in the car wasn't random. It was the end of a longer day, and the start of a longer night. Earlier that evening, they had been at someone's place. Nothing special. A small gathering. The kind where you go because you said you would, not because you wanted to. The lighting was that low, warm kind that makes everyone look softer than they are. There was music playing, something slow, something they hadn't heard in a while, and they were sitting on the edge of a couch holding a drink they hadn't really touched. They looked fine. They always look fine. That's the thing people don't understand about your person. They learned how to be present without actually being there. They smile at the right times. They answer when spoken to. But there's a part of them that's been sitting quietly in the back of their own mind for months now, and that part has your name on it. Then the friend walked in. The mutual one. The one who knows you both, who saw the whole thing from the outside, who never picked a side because there wasn't one to pick. And she sat down next to your person and started talking the way old friends do, half listening, half watching the room, and somewhere in the middle of nothing, she said your name. Just your name. Casually. In passing. The way people say names when they don't realize the weight of them. And your person froze. Not visibly. Not in a way anyone else would have caught. But their hand tightened around the glass. Their eyes lost focus for a second. And the friend, because she's not stupid, because she's been watching this slow motion mess from a distance for a long time, paused, looked at them, and said something simple. Something that landed like a stone dropped into still water. She said, "You know she still thinks about you, right?" And that was the moment. That was the moment the wall they'd been holding up for months started leaning. Not falling, leaning. Because your person doesn't break easily. They trained themselves not to. But leaning is the beginning of falling, and they could feel it. They didn't answer her. They couldn't. They just nodded once, slowly, the way people nod when they don't trust their own voice. And then they excused themselves, walked out to the porch, and stood there in the cold air pretending to check their phone. But here's the part one want you to sit with. They weren't checking anything. They were just holding the phone because their hands needed something to do. Because if their hands were free, they might have done something they weren't ready to do yet. Like type your name. Like find that old conversation. Like read the last thing you ever said to them. If this message is finding you at the right moment, comment, "I receive this love," like the video, and subscribe, there's more coming for you. Now, listen. I want you to understand something about how they've been carrying this. They didn't wake up today thinking about you. That's the truth. They've gotten good at not waking up thinking about you. That's a skill they built on purpose, because the alternative was too painful, and grown people learn how to keep functioning. They go to work. They eat. They laugh at things. They sleep, mostly. But there are these pockets in their day where you slip through. A song in a grocery store. A stranger with a similar walk. A specific phrase someone uses that you used to use. And in those pockets, for maybe 10 seconds at a time, you exist in their mind so vividly that they have to physically shake it off and keep moving. Today had been one of those days. Heavier than usual. They couldn't have told you why. They just felt off. A little quieter. A little more inside themselves. And then their friend said your name out loud, and all those 10-second pockets from the last 6 months poured into one moment, and it overwhelmed them. That's what happened on the porch. That's what they were standing there feeling, while pretending to scroll through nothing. Have you ever had a moment like that? Where someone says a name and your whole body remembers something your mind has been trying to forget? That's where they were standing tonight. In that exact place. And after a few minutes, they went back inside. They finished the drink. They smiled at the right people. They left at a reasonable hour. They did everything right. But the friend followed them out to the car. And that's when she said the second thing. The thing that actually cracked them open. She leaned through the passenger window, and your person had the engine running, ready to leave, ready to escape the night, and she said, quietly, he still talks about you. He always has. Or, she still talks about you. She always has. Whatever the truth of your person is, those were the words. Plain. Unembellished. Said the way someone tells you a thing they think you already know. And your person, the strong one, the composed one, the one who has been carrying this whole thing in private for months, sat there with both hands on the steering wheel and made a sound that wasn't quite a word. A small, breaking sound. The kind of sound a person makes when something they've been holding underwater for too long finally surfaces. The friend didn't push. She didn't say more. She just patted the window frame once and walked back inside. Because she's a good friend. Because she knew her job was done. And your person sat there in that car for I don't know how long. Maybe 10 minutes. Maybe 20. The engine running. The heat on. Their eyes wet in a way they hadn't been in a long time. And here's what they were thinking. I want you to hear this clearly. They weren't thinking about getting you back. They weren't planning anything. They were just thinking, really thinking, for the first time in months, about who you actually were to them. Not the story they told themselves to make the distance easier. The real you. The actual you. The way you laughed at things only you found funny. The way you remembered details about their life that nobody else bothered to remember. The way you saw them when they were having a hard day even when they didn't say a word about it. And one thought kept circling. Maybe I let go too quickly. That was the intrusive one. The one that wouldn't leave. Maybe I let go too quickly. Because in the moment it ended, or in the moment it faded, or in the moment they walked away, they had been so sure they were doing the right thing. So sure it was the mature choice. So sure they were protecting themselves. But sitting in that car, with the heat on, with your name fresh in the air, they weren't sure anymore. They were the opposite of sure. This is the part of the night that most people will never know about. The part that happens in the car. In the dark. In the quiet between leaving the party and pulling into their own driveway. The part where a person reckons with themselves. And while this was happening on their side, I want you to think about what you were doing on yours. Were you a little quieter than usual today? Did you catch yourself looking at something for a second too long? Did a thought of them flicker through you for no reason at all and you brushed it off? That wasn't nothing. That was the same current running through both of you at the same time. You felt the pull from your side without knowing what was pulling. This is how it works between two people who are still tethered to each other. The signal travels, even when you both pretend it doesn't. Okay, now here's where it gets interesting. Because after they drove home, after they sat in their driveway for another stretch of minutes they couldn't account for, after they finally went inside and put their keys on the counter and sat down on the couch with their coats still on, something else happened. Their phone lit up. Not from you. I want to be clear about that. This isn't one of those stories where the universe wraps everything up with a bow in the same hour. Real life doesn't move that fast. But their phone lit up. With a notification, a memory, or a photo, or one of those automatic things their device does without permission. Something from a long time ago. Something with you in it. And they looked at it. For a long time. This is the second moment I want you to hold on to, because it matters as much as the first. The first moment cracked them open. This second moment showed them what was inside. They sat there, coats still on, lights still off, the only glow in the room coming from a small rectangle in their hand, and they looked at a version of you that they hadn't let themselves look at in months. And they didn't swipe past it. They didn't close the app. They didn't put the phone face down the way they usually do when something reminds them of you. They just looked. And then they did something they haven't done in a long time. They scrolled. They went looking. Through old folders, through saved messages, through that one thread they never deleted because deleting it would have made it too final. They read things you had written. Things they had written. Things they had forgotten they had even said to you. There was one specific line, and I am not going to pretend I know exactly what it was, because your story is yours, but there was one line they read that made them stop, made them set the phone down on the cushion next to them and put their face in their hands for a second. It was something small, something you said once that didn't seem important at the time. A throwaway sentence, maybe, a side comment, the kind of thing only the person who loves you would have bothered to keep, and they had kept it, without meaning to. Without realizing they were keeping it. They had just never deleted it, and now, months later, it was reaching them at exactly the moment they couldn't defend against it. That's when the second wave came. Not tears, this time. Something quieter. A kind of stillness. The kind of stillness that comes after a long, slow exhale. The kind that comes when a person finally stops pretending, even to themselves, that something didn't matter. Why does this still feel unfinished? That was the next thought. Not a question. A statement. Why does this still feel unfinished? Because it is. It always has been. They knew it the day everything shifted, and they've known it every quiet day since. They just didn't have the language for it until tonight. And here's something I want you to understand about people like your person. They move easily. They don't reach out impulsively. They spent a long time learning how to manage their own feelings before they act on them, which is admirable in most situations and devastating in this one. So they're not going to message you tonight, probably. But something has changed in them. Something foundational. The wall they had built, the careful, well-maintained, I am fine, I've moved on, this is for the best, wall, has a crack in it now. A real one. And they know it. They felt it crack tonight. They can't unfeel it. This is what divine timing actually looks like, by the way. It doesn't usually look like a dramatic phone call at 3 a.m. It looks like a friend saying the right sentence on the right night. It looks like a phone showing you a photo you needed to see. It looks like a person sitting in a dark room realizing they were wrong about something they were certain of. It's quiet. It's almost ordinary. And it's exactly what's happening right now. So let me bring this back to you for a moment. Because while they were sitting in that dark room, you were on your side of all of this, carrying your own version of the same weight. Maybe you've been telling yourself you've moved on too. Maybe you've gotten good at the same trick they have, functioning, smiling, sleeping mostly. Maybe you've had your own 10-second pockets through the day where they slip in and you have to shake it off. The same thing that's happening to them is happening to you. You're just experiencing it from inside your own life instead of theirs. And that mutual longing, that quiet, unspoken hum that's been running between you for longer than either of you wants to admit, that's the real story tonight. Not the friend, not the photo, not the car. Those were just the things that brought it to the surface on their side. The surface on your side might look different. A song that played at the wrong moment. A name you typed and then deleted. A dream you woke up from that you couldn't quite remember. But half you have been missing each other in the same silence. On opposite sides of the same night. Neither one of you knowing the other was doing it. Until now. Because something in you knew to click on this. Something in you knew to listen. And whether you believe in this kind of thing or not, whether you call it intuition or coincidence or just a strange evening, the feeling you're having right now, while you watch this, is real. You're not making it up. You're not exaggerating. You're not being dramatic. You're feeling them. And they're feeling you. They just don't know how to name it yet. Here's where they are tonight, as I am telling you this. Probably in bed by now. Probably staring at the ceiling. Probably running through the last 6 months in their head and finding the places where they should have said something and didn't. Probably writing a message to you in their head that they won't send. Not tonight. Maybe not tomorrow. But the shift has happened. And shifts like this don't reverse. Once a person sees the truth of something, they can pretend not to see it for a little while longer, but they can't unsee it. They've crossed a line tonight. A small, internal one. From, I made the right call, to, I am not sure I did. That's everything. That's where it all turns. There's a small intrusive thought that's been circling them all evening, and I want to name it for you because it's the one that's going to drive what happens next. Why did hearing her name from someone else hit like that? Or him? Whichever fits your story. That's the thought that's not letting them sleep. Because they had built a whole architecture in their mind around the idea that they were okay. That they had processed this. That they had moved through it. And one sentence from a friend in a parked car undid the whole structure in about 4 seconds. That's a hard thing to sit with at midnight in a dark room. But they're sitting with it. And by tomorrow, they're going to wake up changed. Not dramatically. Not in a way anyone around them will notice. But they will know. They will know that something in them shifted last night, and they will know exactly what it was, and they will know exactly who it was about. And from there, things move. Slowly. The way real things move. Not in a single text. Not in a grand gesture. But in small choices. In moments where they almost reach out and pause and decide they're not ready yet. In moments where they almost reach out and don't pause, and finally do. That part, that's coming. I don't know exactly when. Neither do they. But it's not far. What I want you to do tonight, on your side, is nothing. Don't reach first. Don't check anything. Don't read into things. Don't write the message you've been holding back. Don't break your own. Quiet. Just let this settle in you. Because the work tonight isn't yours. It's theirs. They're doing it right now, even as I am speaking. They're the one sitting in the dark room. They're the one with the cracked wall. They re the one who has to walk back across the distance they created. Your job is to be exactly who you already become through all of this. Softer, wiser, more yourself than you were before. The person they couldn't see clearly when they had you the first time, but the person they starting to see now from a distance. And when they come back, and I do mean when, not if, you'll know within the first 30 seconds whether it's real. You won't have to wonder. You won't have to analyze it. You'll feel it the same way you felt the shift tonight without knowing what was shifting. That's how this works between two people who were meant to find their way back to each other. There's a verse, just one, that fits this kind of night. He hath made everything beautiful in his time. Not on your timeline. Not on theirs. In its time. And the timing has always been working on your behalf, even when it looked like silence. So tonight, while they lying there with that cracked wall and that intrusive thought and that photo still glowing somewhere on a phone they turned face down, you can rest. You can finally rest. The longing you been carrying without permission, the one you been embarrassed to feel, the one you been telling yourself to get over, it wasn't pathetic. It wasn't weak. It wasn't something to be ashamed of. It was a signal. And the signal was accurate. They felt it too. They just got there a little later than you did. That doesn't make it less real. That makes it real in a different way. The kind of real that has to be earned through a long quiet stretch of doubt and distance before it finally arrives. And it's arriving. Quietly. Without fanfare. In a dark room across some city you may or may not be in tonight. In a person who used to seem so certain about leaving and is starting, finally, to understand what they were leaving. You don't have to do anything with this. You don't have to act on it. You don't have to tell anyone. You can just hold it. Because some things land softly when they true. And some things land loudly when they not. And the way this is landing in you right now, that quiet, almost, relieved settling in your chest, that's how you know. That's how you know. And what they beginning to realize now, is something they can't walk away from anymore. Not this time.